Are you tired of feeling stuck? Do you find yourself doubting your potential or struggling to follow through on your goals? It's time to break the cycle with the Strong Men of Value Academy. At our academy, we don't just talk about change, we make it happen. We provide you with the tools to create a clear vision for your life, backed by actionable goals that we'll tackle together every 12 weeks. Imagine ending this year with 4 major life accomplishments under your belt. How would that change your life? Join me, Lachlan Stuart, and a community of like-minded men who are committed to lifting each other up. Our program includes weekly check-ins, monthly planning sessions, and quarterly reviews, all designed to help keep you accountable and keep you on track. Plus, every couple of weeks, gain fresh insights from guest speakers who are pioneers in their field. These leaders provide not just inspiration, but practical advice that you can apply directly to your journey of personal and professional growth. Don't let another year pass you by just dreaming about what could be. It's time to become the man you are meant to be, to become the man that can. Spaces are limited, so to ensure personalized support, don't wait. Visit themanthatcanproject.com/the strong men of value to join the waitlist and secure your spot in our next intake, which kicks off on September 27, 2025. Transform your life with the Strong Men of Value Academy, where every man can. Let's get it. We have a very exciting, it's going to be witty, it's going to be funny episode. And today we're going from the man that can to the men that can, because the dynamic duo across from me, we got the Dos and D, we got Wayne and Danny. How are you, boys?
Did he just call me Wayne?
No, he called you Wayne. Don't worry about that. He got that very
a little bit tongue-tied. You'll notice that throughout the rest of this conversation. There'll be times where I say a word and my tongue gets stuck on my teeth and I sound ridiculous.
That's the whole point of podcasting, mate. It's all part of it. We're very well. It's an honor, mate. We've followed you before we talk about our story. We followed you since the inception of Dos and D, which is over 4 years ago now. And I remember to this day, when we first launched the Instagram account, we had 0 followers, and we're like, all right, let's follow some people of influence that we want to aspire to be like and one day get on our podcast. And I remember clear as day, Dos talking about you. I found this guy and this is what he talks about. And we followed you from literally, if we went back, you'd be one of the first people we ever followed. And then a year or 2 later, we interviewed you for the first time. And then you're one of only a handful of 2-time guests on the Dos and D show. So
well, that is a badge of honor for me, boys. Appreciate it.
So we've followed you for a long time, mate, and we've watched your content, and we're big fans of yours. So to be on your show is an honor for us. So thank you.
Well, yeah, boys. And before I dive into why I'm so excited about having you guys in, and obviously watching your growth, Wade, especially we work together and listening to a lot of your episodes in preparation for this, man, it's really, really inspiring. And there's a lot that our audience is going to take away from this. One, having fun and doing what you love with people that you love, but also just taking the leap and backing yourself, maybe when a lot of people didn't see the vision that you guys now have. But before we dive into all that juicy stuff, I put you boys on the spot a moment ago and just said, how cool would it be for you guys to introduce each other? You're always bantering with each other. You're doing some fun stuff. If people want to go check out your social platforms, who wants to actually, let's boys, scissor, paper, rocket. Okay, whoever wins gets to introduce the other one first, and then you can follow through.
I actually thought we got away with it. And then he started like,
ready? Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors.
All right, boys, it's scissor, paper, rock.
Oh,
yeah, Brisbane folk, hey?
Yeah, Melbourne folk.
I won. Oh, so I introduced you first. All right. Yeah. Okay, so I'll introduce Wade.
Not Wayne.
Commonly gets mistaken for Wayne.
I actually do get called Wayne all the time.
So Dos man here, he's the taller one of our duo. And he is a video editor at Dos and D, my business partner, my best mate, my co-host, very good bloke. And often not on time. Maybe sometimes tends to be 5 to 10 minutes late. But outside of that, yeah, good bloke. That's how I'd...
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
16, 17 years of friendship. Yeah. Very close. My best friend. So, yeah, that's nice.
All right. Thanks, D. Thanks for that, mate.
Right.
There's probably so many different ways I could introduce D. Let's just go. I'll go with the manner that you just went with. So D is our audio technician for Dos and D. Does all our audio clipping and editing, all the lovely sounds and things you hear on our show. That's all him. He does our a bit of video editing as well. He does our YouTube stuff and our long form stuff. He's the shorter half of Dos and D, in not just height but in other elements too.
That's also true.
And he's well travelled. He's well cultured,
isn't he? What he was naming off stuff.
He was listing off towns in America, and I can trust me when we get off airlock here. I'm sure he can share some more stories about what he knows about what he's done in those cities. I'll tell you that.
That's definitely
but again, my best mate and my confidant and someone who I love. So yeah,
we love each other.
This is beautiful. I love it. When I jumped on and the grins on each other's faces, you just look like you'd been up to no good.
always.
Dos was singing a nursery rhyme that I haven't heard since I was about 5 years old, and I think it was to wait for your reaction when it finally clicked. The audio clicked in to see what you'd think. Luckily, that nursery rhyme never got to fruition because we had to fix the audio. But always up to Lockie. We've done when we've had our most important moments across the last 4 years in terms of whether they're high meetings, important meetings,
big guests,
whether it's on Zoom or whether it's in person. It's like 30 seconds before it happens, there's an inside joke or something that will just crack the other person up, like we're trying to fuck it up for both of us. And I don't know why we do that.
Even just then I did it.
Yeah.
Not woke.
It's just who we are. So, yeah.
Mate, it's both of your energy is infectious, so I can see why you guys are heading in the trajectory that you are. See, there, my tongue just got tied. Then I think what happens to me is my mouth. I'm talking to people all day. My mouth gets so dry on my throat. You guys might experience it too, where your throat is just like, I'm so tired of talking, but I love it. And here we are. But boys, 200 episodes. We're actually at 203. I think probably 204. No, it's Thursday. I keep getting my days tangled up like my tongue. 204 next week. What a milestone. For the people who are just stumbling across your content and seeing what you boys are up to now, it didn't start that way. I'd love to hear, I guess, a bit of a backstory on where you boys have come from, what led you into podcasting, and then we can, learn more about the success that's happened since.
Well, firstly, we're not quite at the 500 mark like you, so
close to 600,
mate, close to 600. So you're absolutely dominating the podcast space. So we're chasing tail behind you, but in terms of the story and how it began, almost 4 years ago. Is it 4 years?
Over 4 years.
Over 4 years now. So to give everyone a bit of a brief introduction, so Dos and D, that's our podcast. We've had that for 4 years. It's now become not just an audio experience, it's now a big visual experience, and that's kind of been our mission and goal, is to turn it into not just a podcast, but an actual, almost like a show, somewhere where people can go and be entertained and be inspired and listen to stories and have a laugh. But 4 years ago, that all began because D and I, we were both we would have been 25 and we're both living in, living in our own houses. D was in the city. I was, out where we grew up, and we were just unhappy, working jobs we didn't like. And like yourself, we were just really heavily into personal development, wanted to improve, wanted to grow, wanted to become better, and wanted more out of life. Like we were just not happy, and felt like we were settling for less than what we deserve in general, overall. We were like, we don't know what business to start. Why don't we just start with a podcast and just speak? And we just started talking about stuff we wish we kind of knew growing up out of high school. Like, I wish I knew this and I wish I knew that, whether it was about relationships or money or sex or, friendships or trust or career confusion, those types of things. And we just kind of just were talking about that. And your friends and family in the community are listening, and you get 15 episodes in and they all drop off, and then you have no one listening, and then you start to build your real audience, which is tough. And then we started interviewing some people locally. That started growing. We moved in together. We ended our relationships, not because of the podcast, mind you.
Not for each other. Yeah.
Not for each other. Moved in together.
Just obviously personal, and it just was timing. And it just, I don't know, it's just kind of created itself. And I think what's made it what it is because of our friendship and how much fun we have. And it's just the best.
Mm.
What have been some of the, obviously, 25 years old, you're looking at going down the podcast route, and even, even today, like it's a very challenging industry to pursue as a career. Like, you took a bit of a leap of faith. Did you have people around you that were super supportive? Like, I know you said you had that couple of friends and family that maybe listened to the first few episodes and then they decided, they had other things to do. But for you guys to persevere through that, because, I think I can't remember the statistics, but it's something over 70% of people don't make it past 10 episodes. You guys have done extremely well, managed to make it your career. So what kept you guys moving forward and not just settling?
The one thing we committed to, Locke, at the very start was no matter what, we're going to put out an episode once a week. So every Monday morning at 6 o'clock Melbourne time, an episode gets released, rain, hail or shine. Despite what's going on in our personal lives, despite challenges with whether it's recording or whatever, we'll find a way to release something. And partly, in those early days, there's some crap episodes. There's some, like, we're talking about things. I remember one day, I don't know why, we started talking about conspiracy theories.
Oh, here we go.
And we're not conspiracy theorists. So Dos gave us some insight into the JFK assassination from a 10-minute video that he watched the night before, not knowing too much about the subject. So again, so it's that kind of stuff that we think, we put out an episode. We took the show to England or London very early on because
I remember when you boys did that.
Yeah, because part of our mission, Locke, was let's go against the grain, to do what others aren't doing, and that was amidst COVID. But they eased travel restrictions, so we're like, we're going to go, and we both, Dos worse than me, but we both got incredibly sick. Like, we had COVID mixed with flu, mixed with gastro, and like the stories are really vile. But we recorded an episode one day, both of us lying on an Airbnb bed that we'd probably puked in the night before. And
you shat in the night before.
Thank you.
Literally.
Give it all.
Oh, we were sick. And we're lying there, like, holding mics up, like just forcing it to our mouths just to get out, 40 minutes of content. But we stuck to it. And for those that haven't come across our content, you'd normally get a bit higher quality than that these days. But the whole point was we're going to get something out. And in a long-winded way, we've stuck to it. So 4 years, whether people were listening or not, whether, we just made sure we've kept that consistency to the audience. And we've always promised that for those that are loyal. And at the start, there wasn't many, and now there's a lot more. But I think that's the biggest ingredient, and it's with anything. We didn't make money till we started making a bit of money about 2.5, 3 years in, but only like nothing to fund much, just a little bit of, I suppose, reward for effort. And then it took 3 years to actually start making something kind of respectable, in a 3.5 to kind of have something consistent. So we've just preached consistency since the start. And that's been the biggest force for us and to get to where we are now. Yeah.
Can you give us an example of, I guess, some adversity you've faced that obviously, you gave us that example in England where you were crooking, let's just say you still shit it in, you got it done. But a time throughout this, because a lot of people set goals and they say, all right, this is my commitment to myself. And then they fall off the wagon because of a range of different excuses. I know you guys have traveled a lot. You've lived apart. Like, there's so many things that have happened over your journey, and you've still managed to just drop, and fucking good episodes as well. So you're still making that happen. So can you give us a bit of adversity that you've come up against that have made you question it a little bit?
Yeah, I've got a really good one, mate. And you, what was that?
I love it. You're like, yeah, fuck. I love it.
Basically, it was when you mentioned like living apart. So basically, a year ago, over a year ago now, April of 2023, I moved up to the Gold Coast, or up around that way, and with my partner, because that's where she's originally from, and we were like, we want to live up there for a year and enjoy it, and be closer to her family for a little while. And having that conversation with Dee and having to kind of work out what we were going to do, because for 3 years we've been like together, doing it in person, living together, even creating content outside of the show, being able to go, hey, let's go film this funny video, or let's go and do this or that, and documenting like our journey. It's going to change, and are we still going to be able to do it? And yeah, basically we had to somehow find a way to do it in person. We've always had a rule where we only want to do podcasts in person because we want to be that visual experience, like have the studio and create that, create it in that way. So we were like, well, we have to fly. So if we're going to get one out every week, how are we going to do it? And basically, yeah, we had to really try and make it work, like financially and logistically. How the fuck are we going to get an episode out every week when one of us lives interstate and we have to do it in person? So one of us would fly back and forth. So Dee would fly up 1 month, and then I would fly up the next month and fly down the next month. And we would batch record. So we would, and we would scramble, like, we might not have any guests lined up for the week before, but we had to get 4 lined up for that week when he's up on the Gold Coast. And, someone pulls out last minute, and, I'm flying to Melbourne and someone pulls out and you've only got one interview. Let's find something else. Like, that was really, really challenging. And even financially, like that we weren't in a financial position. Like, we were earning some money from some sponsors, and all our money was being blown on like airfares. So we actually weren't
invested.
Like, the money. Yeah. Invested back into the show, essentially. So that's probably one of the biggest ones that comes to mind. Do you have any?
No, I think, we've had, obviously COVID at the start, but I think that's the main one. I think, though, during that, there's obviously a blessing in disguise. So because of that situation, it makes you have to think differently. You think more financially, how are we going to fund this? So off the back of that, we created a business really around that time where we created a service that we would create for others what we do for ourselves. So we'd go to businesses, not influencers, but businesses that are looking for a podcast and looking, for a mobile studio. And we would take all our equipment to them and set everything up, produce a show for them, edit for them, do everything A to Z for them so they can release their very own podcast at the same quality that we were releasing ours. So that helped us. Okay, now we've got another way to generate income. So that was a big thing that came from that time. The other thing that we learned was batch recording is the best way to go. So now in Melbourne, it forced us to go out. We got to up this. We can't do it from a lounge room anymore,
week to week.
Yeah, we got to source a studio. So we've sourced a studio, and then we batch record. And now because of that, we can bring in a team on that day because, again, financially, you're paying the team for a day, not every week, or a studio hire, anything like that. So because of those challenges, it makes you think differently. You know what it's like when when you're comfortable, sometimes you can get complacent and you're like, well, everything's working. If it's not broke, don't, what is it? If it ain't broke,
don't fix it.
Yeah. And then you don't look what's on the horizon. But then when it's funny, when we're under pressure, when we're under serious pressure to find money, we always found it. We'd always strike a deal. We'd always sign a sponsor or a client or a brand deal. But and I remember one day we were interstate, sitting like we are now. So on Zoom, Doss is on the Gold Coast, I'm in Melbourne, and we're like, we need to find X amount of money. It was a few $1,000s. And at 4:00 on the Friday, we'd been hustling all week. At 4:00 on the Friday, like we were just banging out emails. And then we get this Zoom meeting, and she basically rang Doss, and he put on loudspeaker, and she basically said, let's do it. And we're just going, like we're up and about. And there's like the last possible minute that we could have found it, we found it.
Yeah.
So again, it's not, obviously we're not necessarily talking about the business side of things, but it's funny how in those moments when you really get almost desperate, you can find it and make it work.
I love the hustle, boys. And one thing that I took away from that was your ability to solve problems, but you weren't limited to taking action, trying to figure it all out and have this perfect plan. I feel a lot of the people that I speak with as well, and there's people in our academy and everything like that, that love the idea of creating a side hustle. You know, money's tight for a lot of people, and a lot of people have incredible skill sets and ideas and they want to do it, but they are held back by their own mind. And the fact that you boys have achieved what you've done, but then you've also monetized it. And we all have moments where you're like, shit, like, I don't know whether I can pay rent this week or whatever that looks like. But as someone who has that entrepreneurial mindset, you just go, okay, this is the problem. I'm going to do whatever it fucking takes to solve this bad boy. And generally, like in the 12th hour, or I can't even remember my saying now, Danny, but it's like that last moment you get the win and you're like, yes, it's all worth it. I was about to quit and it happens. But I would love to dive into like the business and the career that you guys have created for yourself. Obviously, you had the outlook that you didn't want to just settle for how your life was and you wanted to really build something meaningful. So the decisions that you've made around the podcast, you mentioned a moment ago, like you just want to do them in person, which is awesome. I've ruined that for you boys because we're doing this virtually.
Right when I said that, I thought, is that the wrong thing to say? Like,
you just slapped me in the face.
Oh,
no,
no.
I no, I'm kidding. I don't mind doing them either or, to be honest, and we can probably, it'd be worthwhile chatting it, later on in this episode, just around like different ways to monetize and grow a podcast, as for people who are interested in that as well. At the end, we can share our different strategies. Definitely. But yeah, I'd love to dive into why it's important for you guys, or you have that standard to do it in person, and what other standards you have around your show.
Yeah, there's so many things that have like probably progressed and evolved within our standards. And I think that's only natural when you're starting out at something without a plan. Like we didn't have, I think that's the beauty of what we've created and what's now, what is now our show is it was never the whole plan was never to be where we are. Mm-hmm. Like that was never the intention. It was never like, ideally great. If it happens, fantastic. But I don't think 4 years ago, if we said, our show would look like this, we'd have these people helping us, we'd have these sponsors and we'd have these guests and we'd be sitting in these chairs and we'd be talking about that topic. Like, I don't think we probably would have, I don't think that was our plan, to be honest, because our whole plan initially was we want to, honestly, mate, we wanted to be like you. Mm. Like our initial beginning was we love personal growth, self-development, helping young men. Even I worked with you, Lockie, for those listening and part of the academy, or I've worked with Lockie one-on-one, or just love his content. Like I was one of those. I consumed it. I loved it. And I was lost in a period of time in my life and I needed some guidance and some accountability, and Lockie provided that in an awesome way. And that's what we wanted. We wanted to be that. And then as our guest profiles changed, we kind of started realizing actually maybe like we're not, maybe it's not personal development. Like we were actually finding that we were enjoying the more entertaining element of it. Like actually, maybe we do have a bit of a personality that we can share, and people were giving us feedback saying we actually enjoy the Doss and D Uncuts just with you two, and you guys are sharing some hilarious stories. And then our 3 words at the beginning when we started was, all right, we want to be relatable, we want to be empowering, and we want to be vulnerable. And early days, it was very much, and we need more of this, but it was very much around mental health, and it was around men's health, and it was around vulnerability when it comes to more sadder, deeper, internal like stuff. What we've come to realize is those 3 words are still important to us, but the vulnerability and relatability, what we now realize is it's about life is about having fun and taking the piss out of yourself. And being vulnerable isn't just sharing mental struggles. It's also about sharing real life shit and mistakes and things that are funny that we've all gone through, but you wouldn't normally share it. So if it's mistakes with money, mistakes with girls, mistakes with, a job, or embarrassing stories, getting rejected, like being open and vulnerable and relatable in that way. And that's what has that flipped our switch. And we were like, okay, that's what we were going to be. But yeah, in terms of the show format, it just kind of evolved and changed. And then now I think, we love the content creation element. Like, you probably enjoy making your content. So for us, the visual part is so enjoyable. So we wanted to make that more of a prevalent or stronger part of our show. Yeah.
And how do you guys split into the roles? Because obviously one's doing the editing visually and one's doing the audio, from what you mentioned a moment ago. Did that just happen naturally, or did, Wayde go, man, I'm all for this, and Dee went, doing this? Or how'd you figure that out? Did you scissors, paper, rocket?
It's a great question. No, I think it just happened organically. When we started, the funny thing is, Dos had a podcast, and he started one, and I was about to start one too. And Dos was going to be my first guest, and he said, "Well, why don't you be a guest on mine?" And we're like, "Well, let's come together," kind of thing. But the ironic thing is, I would have had no idea in terms of editing or anything like that. So Dos was already a little bit not trained, but you were well versed. You understood a little bit about editing. So Dos,
not heaps,
but Dos took it on early days,
enough.
And then and so he was doing the video and I was doing the audio, and then as everything's again. As when we kind of committed, all right, we want to put the full length on YouTube each week, we kind of split, all right, well, we need to split roles. So we're both, I suppose putting in as much as each other. Everything's time consuming. Eventually down the line, you talk about progression, that'll all be outsourced one day. But for the time being, we still edit everything ourselves. And again, it's not just putting the show up. It's all the admin stuff now. It's now running a business on the side of things. So we still edit for all our clients. They all say to us, first thing, I bet you're going to offshore this to Indonesia or Philippines. And we say, no, you'll get us. We're editing. And so that expands everything. So each week, it's not just putting out one episode of our show, which, by the way, when we do all the editing, we add it up, it's probably worth 20 odd hours, maybe even more. It's clients, it's admins, we've got some brand deals, so we have to create videos each week. We've now got a radio gig on behalf of another brand.
Sick.
So when we say it's a gig, it's literally 2 minutes, 4 times a week to go and endorse a company. But again, there's little things that have coming from it all where, everything's just bigger than we ever anticipated. So it's all fallen organically. We have strengths that the other may have weaknesses in, and we just kind of taken it on. And I think the main thing is it doesn't really feel like work. Like, often we're working late at night into the weekends, but it's just become part of our lives, and although it probably won't be that way for much longer, hopefully, we know that's what we signed up for. We all, that's that old saying, you work, 80 hours a week to avoid working a 40-hour one. That's how it's been.
Spot on.
We worked our asses off overtime to the max, but it's starting the seeds are being sown. So
Man, it honestly makes me, I just can't stop smiling. It just makes me so happy and there would be a number of people who've watched you guys literally transform your life and take charge of it. And for me, it's like sharing your story, other stories that I love sharing, because so many people sit on their fucking ass and they want to do it, but you guys are doing it. And the example of, you don't always need the perfect plan. You can learn things on the fly. You work to your strengths or weaknesses. You commit to doing a lot of things in the beginning, and hopefully as you become more successful, you can outsource things. But when you're doing what you love, every moment is awesome. Like, it doesn't feel like dragging your knuckles to work on a Monday doing something that you hate.
100%.
Exactly.
And on that too, we're not necessarily full time, both of us, doing what we're doing either. We like to I read a book recently called the multi-hyphen method. And basically I don't know if you've read it, mate, and you would love it, and because you're very much this too, is there's so many different elements of your business that probably earns you income, but basically, he's found it, has he? Have you got it?
No, I'm getting it up now because I've never even heard of it. When you said it, I was like, fuck, I want to read that.
Yeah,
now, so
you'll love it. So basically, it just talks about in today's day and age in 2024 is the whole go to uni, get a job and stay in that one job and maybe work your way up, which is all fine. That actually, because of today's technology and the evolution of everything, is it doesn't have to be the case. You can actually you can have 4 different incomes if you wanted to.
Literally.
If you really wanted to, and that's what we do. So, and me in particular and that's part of another adversity, another challenge is just recently, probably about 3 months ago, is I actually went and I went and got another job, essentially. So we were working 3 days a week each on DOS and D and really probably paying ourselves like just a bare minimum.
Yep.
And then we both had 2-day-a-week jobs for someone else and like just freelance stuff. And I came to a decision in my head, and me and my partner, Garni, like I was kind of saying to her, I really want to like earn more money and save really hard, and maybe we can buy a house or something. So I had the conversation with Dee, and I was like, I actually think I want to maybe go and get another job and still do DOS and D, but until DOS and D just goes completely full time, then I'm ready to go full time. But at this point in time, I was like, I wanted to go and work somewhere else, and I'm really lucky. I found a really perfect job, and it's in podcast producing, and it's very flexible, and I'm able to do both. But I forgot where I was going with this. Shit.
In terms of
you were going through like setting up your time and being able to take control of things and having multiple things on the go at once, like earning money.
Yeah. So basically, being able to work out that, okay, well, I can work that job, and then those days can maybe drop eventually, and I can earn some income from DOS and D, and maybe there's, we're actually
had to reformat everything.
Everything. Like he's doing a little bit more work than editing wise, or we have to structure our days with meetings with potential sponsors to a certain degree to fit it so I can be in the meetings, or he takes the meetings on his own. So it can be very wishy-washy at times. And even then, like even getting into speaking, like the radio opportunity, we're emceeing, we're emceeing our first gig at the end of the year as well. Like we've been booked for a Christmas party,
Congrats, boys.
Thanks, mate. Which is pretty cool as well. But just, multi-hyphenated lifestyle.
I've got that book up there. I'm going to definitely give that a read over the next week or so because it sounds very interesting. I think you've definitely touched on a really cool thing. Like we can earn money from multiple different avenues. And I'm a big believer, similar to you guys, the normal way of, I guess, working and living wasn't exciting to me, and it never has been. And I would much prefer to invest 10 years in, I am 10 years this year of working for myself. And like the fact that I've supported that, I'm stoked about. But similar to you guys, there's been moments where I've had to Uber drive, or I've had to do so many different things. But I was to keep that dream alive. But as you continue to become, learning different skills, you become, I guess, more valuable to certain people, and you can get compensated for that, and you start living that dream. And then I guess, for me, I'm living in America, like fully self-supported, like doing so many cool things. And that's life. And I really hope people who are listening to what you guys are doing and what you guys have achieved are inspired by that. And just, you guys are very real and honest about that, but you also have some fucking fun with it. It's like, to me, as I was saying, it's like, it just makes me smile because you guys are living the dream, and the dream doesn't mean we're flying around in private jets and got millions of dollars. It's just like our life is amazing. We're building it how we want it to be.
Exactly. It's like, that's one thing that I remember just feeling so grateful for one day. It was like, how cool is it? Like at the end of the day, everybody aspires, well, not everybody, a lot of people aspire when they start a business or whatever. I want to become a millionaire and I want to live this lifestyle. And one day it just dawned on me. I'm like, if my whole goal since I've been 18 years old, probably even younger, was that I just wanted to make my own money. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to be able to be self-sufficient. So does it mean we're making millions of dollars? No. But we're paying ourselves to do something we love, which is amazing. And when we lay it all out, we're always setting goals. We're always reflecting. And I mean, you can't see it here. We can show you afterwards. We've got a huge whiteboard here that lives in my living room, and it's just absolutely packed with, it says 2023 on one side, everything we achieved, and then 2024, what we want to achieve.
Oh, I love that.
We tick it off as we go. And, we had a certain figure in our head financially. By the end of this year, could we pay ourselves that amount? And we're not even at the end of the financial year, and we've reached that. So we may be able to double
Dream
that.
bigger, boys.
Yeah, well, that's it, exactly. And it was, when we wrote it down, we were like shaking. We're like, oh, will we be able to get to that point? Maybe, maybe not. And where we laid out, we can see, of the multiple routes that we're investing in now. And the whole thing is, it's like, you talk about YouTube, that's a good example, something that will one day flourish for us, where when you're spending hours editing a YouTube video and putting it out, and initially, like, no one's watching it, you're like, well, what's the point of this? But when you think down the line, okay, in 5 years' time, if we've got a following, or our projected following is of this, and that percentage is watching YouTube, and you convert them into ads, and they go back and watch the old videos, and suddenly everything starts turning, then that thing you invested in 2, 3, 4 years ago suddenly becomes an income stream where you never thought of it. So we're now finding different elements in what we do where, like Josh said, emceeing is something we never really considered, but that's a big gig for us. And then the radio, we're lucky. I hope it doesn't sound like we're bragging. It's just an example of opportunities that arise. Like, we got an email the other day from a talent agency that may or may not take us on as, they want to manage us basically. But they also said, have you connected with so-and-so at a very high, governing body of some of the biggest radio stations here in Australia? We said no. And they said, oh, well, just so that you know, they're keeping an eye on you. They're about to cull a bunch of their people. Would you be interested in doing a slot? It may not be now. It may be 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, who knows? But just letting you know, they're keeping an eye on you. So those things that we never considered may or may not pop up in the future. And then they say things like, have you considered TV? Well, we've never considered TV. And they said, well, just keep it in keep it in your 5 to 10 years. Maybe something could go there. So again, it's just, and we just, like I said at the very start, it's all consistency for us. If we just keep showing up and putting out, we have weeks where the downloads may dip, or we're not getting anything on social media, and you're flat about it. And then you have weeks that it all skyrockets, as you know, Locke. Like,
oh yeah.
It's riding that wave.
It's you guys are the Hamish and Andy 2.0, or
no,
very well
we are
could be.
not.
We're not.
I mean, it's funny. I was watching Hamish and Andy last night. Oh, mate, they're one of my comforts. But we're not them. We're Dos and D.
Yeah, we just, again, we don't like.
I like it.
We never had ambition for it. Like, we never made out to make a cent. It's just, and if any of that happens, great. But it's not like we're holding on for dear life. It helps we both come from a sales background, and spending a fair few years in sales, it meant that we could sell ourselves before we're probably ready to.
Do you want to maybe share a bit around our dads?
Well, you share that.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, so I was just going to touch on as well is everyone's kind of ingrained differently and being kind of, I don't want to say indoctrinated, but like taught and educated differently as kids. And we were both brought up by, and I'll, Locke, a bit about my story, but both our dads had their own businesses. So that's what we witnessed as kids, and both in similar spaces in the event management industry, and our dads were the faces of their companies. And my dad's company was more around sport and entertainment, holding big sporting events and entertainment events, and booking guest speakers and connecting with big businesses and selling and business development and getting people in the room, and just growing up and seeing him on the phone whenever in the car, or going above and beyond for clients, and, just little things that you just don't realize as a kid, but they're things that subconsciously you saw and heard, and you've just taken them with you and gone with it. And I think that's also why we are, I don't know, we're so, because people would probably go, shit, you've been on 4 years and you're still not full time. Like, surely that's enough of a reminder to kind of go, come on, like, but we've got enough wins on the board and the trajectory is so there. You can see it and taste it and feel it. You're like, fuck, we're not going to stop. Like we've always said, we're 4 years into a 20-year apprenticeship. Like it's like, we're not stopping. So, but we've saw our dads do that. And I think that's why we're so confident and just so like free willy about it, because we've seen it and we know what it takes.
And we've both seen lean times as well, like within running a business and what the effect it has on a family and things that we probably don't want to one day have if we go down the family route for ourselves. And, we've both experienced the highs, and the lows, and those little, things that you just pick up on that's, important. And you mentioned, in terms of money and podcasting, and this is, I think, the biggest bit of advice or biggest we could offer for the way we've done it is when most people start one of these things, it's so funny how people put out 10 episodes of a podcast or 20 and they're selling merchandise or they're selling something. They're trying to get their audience to buy something. And I get it's different if you're more business focused, like your show, we're entertainment, so we're totally different. But as of 200 episodes, we've never asked a single listener to give us money in any way. We haven't sold anything. We haven't even put up Patreon. We haven't done buy us a coffee for $5. We've never done any of that. We've sourced it all through sponsors and adding value to them. So rather than trying to grab from the people that, are listening, like we're just trying to give back to those that are supporting us. And we're then hoping that, through our sponsors and things like that, that's how we're going to generate money. And yes, down the line, we may go down merchandise and things like that, but that's just a side thing. It's not, we're relying on that side of thing. We've used our negotiation skills and our sales skills and relationships we've built over many years to go, look, back us in. This is our vision. This is where we're going. When we get there, this is what it's going to mean for you, kind of thing. And we're talking off air. It's signing long-term deals, building long-term relationships. And yes, at the start, a lot of them had to, they're very much doing us a favor, probably based on our relationships. But now it's turning where, okay, hey, this is our audience now. This is who you're getting in front of. They're benefiting, exactly. So that's the biggest tip we tend to give.
But you guys have put yourself in that position once again through that hard work, the drive, the consistency, and even taking the risk to get in front of those people and have those hard conversations. The skills that you guys have developed, and a cool touch point, if you guys ever do have families, and similar to Amy and I, it's who I've become in the process and who you guys are becoming. Your young fellas, or even just people in general, are watching what you do and being influenced and inspired to be better as a result of that. Like, it is hard work to go pitch yourself, to sell yourself. Most people can't do it, right? And go in there and say, hey, believe in my vision as much as we do. At the moment, maybe there's not as much upside for you, but there will be. Trust me. It's like, that's a hard fucking thing to do. But you guys have done that. And once again, super inspiring stuff. What is the vision for you guys? Where do you see now? Like, obviously, if you've started to get more runs on the board and working together, working strengths and weaknesses, where do you guys want to take it?
I don't want to put a cap on things, but the dream I know we both want to do is we want to go overseas and we want to have our own Dawson D style show. So we'd love to be able to go overseas to America or to Europe and create entertaining content and interview people overseas, and it's all covered and paid for by like whoever's sponsoring. I know that's like one of our dreams, is to go back overseas and interview the biggest names that we can ever imagine, that we've dreamt of. There's a list at the top, and like some of those names, I have no doubt that we'll get them. And that's I know that's probably our biggest goal and our biggest dream and our biggest vision, is going overseas and interviewing some huge high profile names, just because we love them. Like that's probably why. But in terms of like the business or financially, what do you think?
Well, financially, we've got our plans that we would love to hit. I'm very confident we'll hit them. And I think too, in terms of what we're trying to grow with the brand Dawson D, I think the biggest vision is we don't want to be known as a podcast. We want to be known as a brand. We're Dawson D, right? Podcast is an umbrella arm of what we do. what you'll see in the next 12 months, it's slowly as we reinvest it all back in the show, is our show is going to change a little bit away from the standard podcast that most people are used to hearing. We want to turn it into more of a show, and we want to create something that
like a program,
like something that's gone missing a little bit in Australian TV, probably all around the world. But when we were growing up, we had shows like, well, probably even before our time, was Hey It's Saturday, and variety shows, and Rove, and those kind of shows that were unpredictable. But then with the whole landscape shifting, the world changing, that kind of got lost. But on the internet, we see big opportunity there that we think we could create our show into more of a variety show where you might have Lockie might be sitting on a couch, but you might be sitting next to an athlete, and then here's a good example. You have Amy and you have Shepard playing a song at the end, right? And you might have a magician doing tricks. Like, it could be so random, but there's a gap because no one's doing it. And we want to. We're not exactly crystal clear what it looks like, but we're starting to mold it into, just slowly, very subtly, mold it into a more of a visual element, which Dos is saying through some of our segments that we're bringing on, and the way our sponsors are going to get involved. They're going to get a much more benefit and eyes on them based on what we're going to create. But I think that's a big goal of ours too.
They're both exciting. Do you ever get worried? You know how there's always that saying, when you meet your heroes, you can quite often be let down, or whatever that one is. Do you get worried about that?
No, probably more just that. I'd just be like, as an example, we've had like footballers or comedians or entertainers on the show that we've seen on TV or looked up to, and to be honest, we haven't had that happen as of yet. Yep. So I don't know if it's different in the world of like big showbiz, like overseas. Like, as one name in particular that we want to interview is Ricky Gervais.
Yes, mate, he seems like a legend.
Yeah, like we've just been I think that's probably one of the things we bonded over like early in our friendship is The Office, and Office UK, and having that English humor. Like, Dee's dad's from England, so we share that English humor. We enjoy it, and he's like one of our biggest ones that we love. And then we love music. So Robbie Williams, and I know people would go, what, out of every musician you'd want to interview Robbie Williams? Like, yes, because we grew up with him. Our mums loved him. We love his personality. We feel like he'd be great. And so I think when that day comes, I'm sure I'll be shitting myself. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing we do, and I'm sure you're the same, Lock, and most people in podcasting, is that we don't obviously – shouldn't say obviously, but we've never paid a guest to be on the show, and no guest has ever asked to be paid really. Some might say they might want to promote something or promote a charity or something like that, and we're still at the point now where sometimes we've looked and gone, you know what, we actually could pay guests if we wanted to, but the thing that now through our sponsors, by the way, people come on the show and they walk away with a bunch of stuff, which is great. So we can give back, we can give them a bunch of cool gifts and giveaways, and they actually walk away with something. But we never mention that to them when we're when we're inviting them on the show, because we want people to come on for the right reason. So exactly when you just ask that question then about meeting your heroes and maybe being disappointed, because people come on and go, well, there's no financial arrangement here. They're not, they're doing it because they want to do it, and lucky. It's only been the last 6 months where some of these people we really look up to, suddenly we see them following us on Instagram out of the blue. We haven't made contact. They follow us before we follow them, or we start seeing them liking our reels, and then we can kind of, we don't have to introduce ourselves and sell ourselves. We can kind of just have a conversation, go, would you like to come on? And often it's, yeah, we'd love to. It happened literally yesterday. So that getting to that element too is a big step for us. And I think, we want to work with people that, they want to be there. They want to share their story. They want to be open, vulnerable, happy to have a laugh, not take themselves too serious. And that's why we're probably not too worried about, being disappointed by our heroes.
Yeah, it's a cool thing as well. Like, I think to highlight the fact that building your profile is building influence, and that's just been by being your genuine selves. Like you said, you obviously started wanting to do like vulnerability and mental health and all that sort of stuff, and you played around with that, and then you realized you were more in the entertainment space, so you went with that, and it's been a more, I guess, authentic or genuine for where you wanted to go, and as a result of that, your credibility and your influence in the space has grown. And that's one thing that I say to a lot of people is the best. Like, I don't monetize my podcast at all. Like, and we can talk about this later on, like different ways why I use it for business. However, it's grown my network. Like, I had one of my idols on the podcast, the Iron Cowboy, maybe 3 months ago, and I was like a little kid in a candy store when I knew he was coming on, and I never would have been afforded that opportunity if I hadn't have done the 500 plus episodes prior and become the person who could, I guess he could leverage my audience, but then to be able to have his number now and text him and stuff like that, I'm like, this is awesome. Like, you become mates with these people that you idolize.
Can I just say something, Lockie? And it's an endorsement for you, because this is something you talk about, going away from the mental health and that whole vulnerability space. One thing we noticed when we did shift that perspective and looked at ways to be vulnerable is we met a lot of people that were doing similar things at the same time, but there was no authenticity, and it really pissed us off. So they're going out and they're preaching mental health, they're preaching vulnerability, they're preaching all the good stuff that we'll hear about, but A, they weren't living it themselves. B, they were in it, they saw a money opportunity, a financial opportunity, and just, I'm going to leverage this whole mental health movement, so I'm going to slap something on a t-shirt and sell it to the masses. And we've seen that happen a lot, and that I don't know about Dos, but personally it threw me way off that space. I'm like, I don't want to be, because there's very few that live it. You're a great example of a person that is authentic, that actually does, like, puts out content that is authentic, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, where a lot of people don't. And that threw me off personally. I started really resenting people doing it because you could see through it. And I'm like, I don't want us to be grouped in with that. I don't want us to be seen as trying to ride a wave. I think that was a big step. So it's an endorsement for you, because you're one of the few, and I mean it few, that we've come across that actually live and breathe their lifestyle.
And I must say that, like, to balance it out, is there are people in that space that are authentic too.
Yes.
So we're not saying everyone is. We're not pointing at a certain. We're not pointing.
You'll be on the Daily Mail tomorrow. You'll be having to read your own segment on the radio. Dos and D have called out. No, but I definitely agree with that as well. Like, you see, obviously trends and fads happen, and there are always people, and nothing wrong with if that's how people want to do business, etc. But I think longevity comes through authenticity, and I've never wavered. Much like you guys, you see people come and go, and in the beginning it used to frustrate me. I remember people literally came into my program, took the IP and pissed off, and I remember how angry and upset I was, and now I'm just like, it's okay, because they don't know my next move. And at the end of the day as well, very similar to you guys, like, I love what I do. I've got a great lifestyle. And I just want to, I do it because I genuinely love it. I'm always, I guess, solving my own problems. I've always got shit to solve, and getting to share that with people. So then my work and my podcast is a bit more, I wish I had more humor in it, but I'm not a funny guy like you boys. But then I get to listen to your guys' content and content of the sort to get that. So it's cool that, I guess, what maybe turned you off it has put you into a space where you adding fucking bucket loads of value to people's lives, and you're enjoying the journey as well. What do you feel would be, outside of obviously video editing and producing and all of that, what do you feel would be the best skills that you guys have developed over the last couple of years that have put you in the position you're in?
I would say, I reckon the biggest one for us, and it comes from, like, obviously repetition, is selling yourself.
Yeah.
It's like confidence to sell ourselves, and not underestimate what we have, and comparing what we have to what other people have, and then kind of questioning whether, is it actually worth it? Or, like, are we valid? Or have we done enough to prove to a business or to someone or to a brand or to another creator to collaborate? Have we done enough? Are we at a certain level? I feel like the major skill set that we've really battled with, me personally, like D, even when we lived together, D would always get angry at me. He goes, you need to stop comparing yourself. Like, stop comparing us to other podcasts. Stop comparing, like, even the podcast, there's podcasts that were bigger than us that aren't even around anymore, but we're still around. And he would go, like, that's the perfect example of why you shouldn't compare yourself. Everyone's on their own trajectory. But yeah, for us, we've gotten so much better at knowing our worth and being, confident enough and have the verbal skills and the knack to, I don't want to say sell ourselves, like, because we're not
People don't sell themselves.
We're not selling, like, it's not like we're going somewhere and going, hey, here's our thing and buy it. It's hard to even explain what we are selling, like what we've created in the show. It's
valuable.
It sells itself.
At the start, sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's the value that you got. Everything that you've done has amounted to a certain level of value that you give to people, whether it's audience, the laughs, like we could list off a million different things that you guys provide in value. And now it's that you're actually starting to recognize and own that and go, this is me. If you want to be part of that, then awesome.
I think that's the key. That's the key. It's like we've now realized without being arrogant or in a non cocky ways, we go, fuck, we've got a pretty cool show. Like, we've got a really cool show and it's really different and it's diverse and it's a variety of different topics and things, and no one else is doing what we're doing. So shit, I reckon in 5 years, this is going to be like gold to a brand. So why not go out and sell it,
Yeah. It's like, and that's partly, again, it's actually sometimes you have to value yourself. I mean, we all suffer from imposter syndrome, but sometimes you need to value what you're actually putting out there. And at the start, the first time we started making money, the only way we thought we could, and this is how we started, was we'd get a big name guest on. We knew they were coming on in a month or 2 months. And we'd be like, all right, who would like to, basically, who can we sell this one episode to? So a good example is we had a jockey, very well known in Australia, a legend called Glenn Voss. Won 3 Melbourne Cups, very famous jockey. And we had him on the show at the time. For us, a really big deal. So we used our connections. We went to the Melbourne Racing Company and we got peanuts, but we got something for that episode. We got to read an ad and we got to experience it all. And we're like, okay, well.
Was it our first sponsored?
Yeah. And then we got, and then
awesome.
we have, when we knew we had big names coming on, this is even as late as only 9 months ago, we were doing this. We'd go, okay, we've got so-and-so coming on. Let's partner a brand with it. And we'd be selling that person to the brand. So we'd be saying, hey, partner your brand with this amazing person because that's who they are. The biggest shift we had was, all right, fuck that. We're not doing that anymore. We need sponsors week in and week out, no matter how well known the guest is. If it's just the two of us sitting there, we need DOS and D sponsored, and we need to find brands that see that vision.
To keep the show alive.
Keep it alive, especially when we're doing all that travel and stuff. So again, yes, a fuck ton of rejection, heaps of it. But we found the brands that saw long-term, and the key words we heard is they'd say, boys, we want to partner with you for long-term, because they saw the benefit. They realized sponsoring 4 episodes might not do much, but if they're heard week in and week out, we said, we'll bring the guests. Trust us, we'll bring the good quality guests. But we need you on board. And through their consistency, their longevity, then they start seeing the rewards because their brand's being heard week in and week out. And, DOS hit the nail on the head. Like, it's so scary when we put a figure out to brands that we think, oh, are we pushing this here? Like, because we might have upped what we were. And then when they come back and say yes, it's the best feeling in the world. And like the first time you ever make a sale, the first time you up your price and somebody says yeah. Like, I can't. That euphoric feeling is very hard to describe to people that haven't experienced it, because it's something that you have literally created yourself, and now somebody else has seen the value and said yes, and I'm gonna financially reward you for it. Like, it's nuts. So that's been challenges, but something we're hopefully overcoming now.
It's killer, boys. I love it. One final question: what advice would you give to your younger selves? Mate, let's pick an age. Let's pick 16. Is there anything off the top of your head that you feel that younger version needs to hear that maybe some of our audience in that position where there's doubt and what's that?
I said, stay away from McDonald's. About 16. I put on a lot of weight, Lockie. It took me years to lose it. So, and that's
don't go to the Golden Arches.
Yeah, so it took me till 5 years to get any interest from any female. So that would be my first advice.
Oh my God!
What else?
That's powerful.
God, I don't know. 16. What would I say to my 16-year-old self? I'd probably go, if I was talking to my 18-year-old self coming out of high school, I would say, and I know it gets thrown around a lot on social media and stuff, but is try different things. So I feel like that's when I look back on my the last 10 years of my life, even like I think the amount of times I've probably had to update my LinkedIn bio because I've changed jobs or roles or doing things or the multi-hyphen method. And I'm sure that gets looked at a bit in a funny way from people that are more, I don't want to say, they're more just straight bat and they're, that's okay if that's when they look at it, they might go, oh, that's a bit odd and it's a bit less credible or it's not as stable. But I would say to someone, try heaps of different stuff because if you don't try enough things, how do you know that you might not have actually, found something that you enjoy? Like, how do you know if, D will laugh. I say the saying all the time. How do you know if chocolate's your favorite flavor ice cream if you've never had it? So you may as well go and try it, like try different stuff because you don't know. So that's rather than go and just jump into something and stick at it and because that's what mum and dad think you should do. I think the best thing you can do as a younger person is try different shit.
I'm very much agree. I think having a go, and I look back on my life and the big defining points, and it sounds cocky, not cocky, it sounds sound like a wanker saying stuff like this, but you look back at key moments of your life when things changed, and if that didn't happen, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. And like we joked about traveling, for example. So for me, solo traveling was the biggest eye opener I've ever experienced in my life. That there is a whole wide world that's so much bigger than my little town. There's so many people, there's so many opportunities, all these cool people that I'm meeting in hostels are doing all these ridiculous things that you've never heard of. And I look, and some of them that I made friends with 4 years ago, I see them now and they're running these huge businesses. And I remember I remember sitting in a bunk one night with this dude from Canada, and he had this idea. We're like on a bunk bed and he's like telling me this goal he's got, it's business he's started, and it was in Denver, Colorado. And he's come out here and he's trying to do this thing. And 4 years ago, he had this vision. And now he's created this massive business. Like it's on steroids. It's going nuts. I remember when he was selling me this whole vision. And so I think, especially in your 20s, it's the time to take risks. It's the time to have fun. Do it sounds stupid, but not stupid, but it sounds, we all say it, but set goals and stick to them, like literally set goals. Because once you build confidence in yourself, for me personally, I joked before, but I lost 30 kilos of weight. And the best thing that came from that was, for once, I set a goal and I had confidence now in myself that I actually could stick to a goal that I've done. And then suddenly to start a business or to do this or to do that became easy because you're like, hey, I've already proven if I promise myself I can do something, I can actually stick to it. That was a big defining point for me. So I think, in a long-winded way, it's all around, building your own self-confidence and taking risks and having a crack.
Boys, I absolutely love it. It's been a pleasure. And truly, I mean it when I'm proud of you guys. I'm inspired by you guys. And I am so keen to keep following your journey and see where you guys take it. I hope to see you on TV. I hope to, you guys can give me the best 2 minutes of your life on the radio, whatever it is. Like, there's going to be some cool stuff happening.
Thanks, mate.
Well, when we finally get that American tour, mate, we'll do a round 3, the first ever 3-time guest of the Dawson D Show, I reckon, and we'll do it in Nashville. I reckon that sounds. Mate,
let's get it done at the Honky Tonk. Where can people find you guys on socials, the podcast, all of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, right, Dos, ready? Instagram,
Dawson D _
TikTok,
Dawson D,
YouTube,
and the Dawson D Show.
Yep, Facebook,
the Dawson D Show,
Spotify.
Dawson D.
Apple Podcast?
The same, Dawson D.
There you go.
All there. All right, I'll put the link, the link in the show notes there for everyone listening along. Go check these guys out. They've got a very bright future doing some fun stuff, and it's been a privilege to have you guys on, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Thanks, Lockie. D said it at the start, but massive honour and crazy to think where we were 4 years ago and talking to you then to where we are now, mate. So we appreciate you.
Finally made it.
Woo! We're finally on Lockie's podcast.
We've finally done it.
Come on. Thanks, mate.
See you guys. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favourite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.